welcome over here to a new week of What's for Dinner. This What's for Dinner is extra special and extra fun just because it is filmed in my new kitchen here in Utah. If you happen to miss Wednesday's house tour video, I will link it in my description box below if you want to see this new house. But anyways, we moved. We're officially into our new home. We are definitely not completely unpacked yet. It's kind of like a hot mess here. But anyways, I really hope you enjoy this week of meals and let's get to cooking. To get us started off, we're trying out this new recipe. This is a creamy taco soup. So to my Dutch oven, I'm going to be adding about a tablespoon of some olive oil. Once that olive oil gets hot, I'm just adding 1 chopped up onion. You could add a red bell pepper too if you have one on hand. I just didn't have any on hand. So now that the onion is starting to get soft, I added in a pound of some lean ground beef and I'm going to cook this ground beef through. Now that my ground beef is all cooked through, I'm just going to be adding my 4 cups of chicken broth. You could use beef broth if you prefer beef broth. And then I'm just adding my 1 can of some corn. I did drain this corn. And then 2 cans of Rotel. Next, you're going to be wanting to add your black beans. I did drain and rinse those black beans. And then for our seasonings, I'm just going to be adding in a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, and paprika with a half a tablespoon of some chili powder. I'm going to stir this all together and then bring it up to a simmer and let this simmer covered for about 8 to 12 minutes. Now that our soup is through simmering, I'm going to be adding my 8 ounces of cream cheese. I did cube this cream cheese. Cubing it into smaller cubes is just going to help it melt down and combine with the rest of the ingredients better. I'm just going to whisk this all together, put the lid back on top, and then, just keep stirring this until the cream cheese is nice and smooth. Here is the finished product. This is my bowl of soup. I just topped mine with some lime, tortilla chips, cheese, and some avocado slices. This is such a fun twist on taco soup. It's a little bit different, but it tastes amazing. I think you'd like it. Now we're making some chicken stir fry. This is probably one of my favorite stir fry recipes ever. It's just really good. So we're going to begin on the sauce. First, you're going to add 1/3 cup of all of these ingredients: low sodium chicken broth, honey, and soy sauce. And then you're just going to whisk these ingredients all together. I'm going to start to chop up the veggies, so I just set that sauce to the side. I'm pretty much just chopping up about 2 cups of some fresh broccoli florets and then around 3 medium-sized carrots. You could add more veggies in or less, just depending on, of course, your preference. You could add different veggies in too if you prefer different veggies. To my large pot, I'm going to drizzle about a tablespoon of some olive oil in there. Once the olive oil is nice and hot, you're going to add in your chopped up carrots and broccoli. Stir these all around to get coated in the oil, and you're going to cook these until they are soft, about 4 to 7 minutes. So now that my veggies are to the softness that I like them to be, I'm just going to remove them to a separate plate and set that plate to the side. So now to my same Dutch oven, I'm going to add an additional tablespoon of some olive oil. Once that olive oil is hot, I'm going to be adding in our pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast that I sliced into smaller pieces. I'm going to season it with some salt and pepper. You could use chicken thighs if you prefer chicken thighs for this recipe, and that will still work out. I'm just going to cook this chicken all the way through, and now that it is cooked through, you're going to be adding in your garlic and ginger, about 2 to 3 cloves of garlic and 2 teaspoons of ginger. Once my garlic and ginger are fragrant, you're gonna add back in your broccoli and carrots. And then I'm also adding in about 1.5 cups of some frozen peas. You don't have to add the peas in, but it does add some great flavor. You're gonna stir this all together and cook these together for an additional 2 minutes. It's now time to add our sauce, so I'm just adding our stir-fry sauce right in there with a cornstarch slurry. This will help thicken it up. The cornstarch slurry is a tablespoon of cornstarch with about a tablespoon of water whisked together. So now I'm just going to mix this up until it thickens for about 3 minutes, and here's the finished product. I just served my stir-fry with some white rice. This is amazing. It is seriously a family favorite. My entire family loves it. It just has some really great flavor, and I love that it's packed full of veggies. Brinley's favorite part of this was actually the rice, and she was being kind of silly, so I wanted to show you. Now we're making another one that my whole family enjoys, some chicken tacos, but these are exceptionally good. So to this bowl, I added 2 tablespoons of some taco seasoning. I just used the packet form, or you could make your own homemade taco seasoning. Either works fine. 5 tablespoons of olive oil and 3 tablespoons of lime juice. You're going to whisk this all together. Now we're going to be adding in our chicken. This is just 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast. I'm going to mix this all together and coat the chicken in that yummy taco sauce. You're going to stick this in the fridge to marinate for about an hour. If you don't have an hour to let this chill, that's fine. You could just, put it on the stove and it will still turn out great. So now here we are about an hour later after our chicken is through marinating. I'm just going to cook this chicken up on the stove. Here is the finished product. I served mine on some crispy, smaller sized tortillas with lime, cilantro, guacamole, cilantro lime rice, and pinto beans. All of the fixings that I enjoy. My whole family loves these tacos because you can make them however you want to, and they're just so delicious. I've showed this baked chicken parm recipe on my channel previously, but it is so good, I'm going to show it again. To begin, I have 2 chicken breasts right here. As usual, use more or less depending on your preference. I'm just slicing them in half horizontally. I added my chicken to this gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and now I'm going to bang it with my meat mallet until it's even in size. This is just going to help tenderize the chicken. If you don't have time for this step, you could definitely skip it. I've skipped this step before and it still turns out delicious. Now we're going to work on the coating for this chicken, so I'm just adding 1 egg to this bowl and I'm going to whisk it up. To this other plate, I'm going to be adding 1 cup of Italian-style panko breadcrumbs, or you could use regular breadcrumbs, but we just prefer the Italian style. It just has more flavor. And then I'm adding 1/4 cup of some grated Parmesan cheese and about 1/2 teaspoon of some oregano and 1/2 teaspoon of some onion powder. I'm going to stir this together. After I lined my large cooking tray with some aluminum foil, I'm just going to spray it with plenty of some nonstick spray. Over to my chicken, I'm going to season our chicken with some salt and pepper on each side. And now I'm going to bring it over to the egg wash, put it in the egg wash on both sides, and then bring it over to the panko breadcrumb mixture. I'm going to make sure that it gets nice and coated. I'm going to kind of press it into the panko mixture and then bring it over to the cooking tray. I did this with all of my chicken. This will go into a preheated oven to 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. While that's in the oven baking, I'm going to boil up my 1 pound of spaghetti noodles and then warm up my marinara sauce. I'm just choosing to use this Prego marinara sauce. I used about half of the container, but per usual, just use however much you think you need. After those 15 minutes of baking, I pulled my chicken out of the oven. It wasn't completely cooked through yet, so I just flipped it and put it back into the oven for an additional 5 minutes to bake. Now that my chicken is all cooked through and reached 165 degrees internally, I just took some of that marinara sauce and I'm pouring it on top of my chicken, and then I'm going to cover it in some mozzarella cheese. This is going to go back in the oven under the broiler for about 2 to 3 minutes or until it is nice and bubbly. Here's the finished product. My family loves this chicken parm recipe, especially because you don't have to fry it. It just goes in the oven to bake. It's pretty simple to throw together. I just served it with a side salad and we enjoyed this meal. And that is a wrap of another week of What's for Dinner. I really hope you enjoyed it, and as usual, I hope you found a recipe that you might be able to make yourself this week. I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe and healthy out there, and if you are new here, we'd love to have you. So go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.